Talking Texas here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. And of course, Steve Sarkisian is the latest now to turn around Texas football. We shall see. We got Nick Battle on the line. You can catch him right here on YouTube on Nino's Corner. Just a tremendous resource for Texas football, recruiting, position battles, personnel, everything you want to know. Head on over to his site, Nino's Corner, right here on YouTube. Nick, how's it going today?
I'm good, man. I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Appreciate you stopping by to break it down for us. Do we know at this point when Texas goes to spring practice?
Yes, sir. So spring practice actually starts on the 23rd of March, and the spring game is on the 24th of April.
Excellent. So Sam Ehlinger has been the franchise for, it seems like forever. And he finally moves on. We got a pretty good look at Casey Thompson during the Alamo Bowl. And I got to say, he made a couple throws in that game that made me sit on the edge of my chair and think, man, this guy can sling it and he can find a tight window and work it on through. So is this definitely Casey Thompson's team?
That's a great question, man, because that is going to be the most important pick for Sark in this new offense. All right. So there's going to be a huge battle when it comes to that position. So we got two folks, man. We got Casey Thompson and we got a kid named Hudson Card. Now, if you go back and talk to all of like the old coaches, everybody says that Hudson Card has some of the best arm talent that they've seen in a long time here in the state of Texas. But we all just saw what Casey Thompson did, right? He tore up Colorado, 4 touchdowns in literally 1 quarter and a half. I mean, that whole offense opened up with Casey Thompson. So, with him having that, that all-star game there with the last game of the season, it leaves us, like actually wanting Casey Thompson to be the guy. But if you go back and just listen to some of those comments from those guys, they all say that Hudson Card has all the talent. Even Sam Ehlinger said just last week, he said that Casey is a great leader. Hudson has all the arm talent. So it's going to be an amazing battle when it comes to that position. And it's going to be Sark's probably toughest pick here.
You mentioned the term the man. And for Texas football fans, ever since he was signed, they've wanted Bijan Robinson to be the man as well. Your thoughts about his play? Took a bit of a spill early in the season last year that really derailed him for a few weeks at least, but then we started to see him really turn it on late. And again, there were a few moves that he made in the Alamo Bowl that may be a precursor to 2021.
Bijan is the man. I don't think there's any question about who is going to be the guy at Texas at the running back position. That is Bijan Robinson. All right. So he is the guy. He should have been starting a lot sooner last year. He was definitely the best running back here on campus. But Tom Herman didn't play him. So I don't think he played him until like week 5 or so. And so once he started getting like touches and and catches, the kid almost averaged 9 yards a carry. So he is definitely the guy. Kind of it's kind of sad to see him not get the play that he should have got the whole season.
Nick, set us up with the rest of the offense and really what you're going to keep your eye on over the next month once the Horns hit the practice field in regards to any information we get out of spring, where are the key position battles and so forth.
Oh, man, we got a bunch of battles here, especially at the wide receiver position. We got our actual 3 top guys here. It's going to be Josh Moore. It's going to be Jake Smith. It's going to be Jordan Witt. So Jay Witt is an amazing kid, too. We got to see who is going to replace Brennan Eagles. All right. He was our outside wideout. He's going, he just left this year. So we got 3 guys who could possibly take his spot. You got Marcus Washington, you got Woodard, and you got Lewis. But just to get the 3 best wideouts on the field, I think you got to try to find a way to get Jay Witt on the field. You got to try to get some way to get Jake Smith on the field and Josh Moore at the exact same time. So that's one thing. The next thing is the tight end position. So when Tom Herman was here, we all know if he was here this year, the guy who was going to start at tight end is going to be Cade Brewer, but he's not here this year. And to be honest with you, I think the best tight end on the team is a sophomore, and his name is Jared Wiley, 6'7", 250-pound tight end, can run like the wind. Multi-star athlete in a high school, so I think he actually played quarterback in high school, also was a pitcher in high school. So he's a hell of a kid when it comes to just talent. He's our best tight end, and he should start this year. We'll just see how it stacks up with this new coaching staff. So we'll see how that battle plays out at, just at that position. I'm also on the O-line, so we got, let me see who left last year. We got Cosme, so he left last year, and I think that's it actually. So, if I'm going from left to right, so probably Andre Carrick starting, at the left tackle. Let's see, at the right guard, probably, let's say Tyler Johnson. And Denzel Okafor at the right guard is going to be the camp battle that we also see. So Denzel Okafor came back for his 5th season this year, and he would have probably started this year if the previous staff was here. But Tyler Johnson actually played a lot better than Okafor did in those last 2 games. So he started for us against Kansas State and in the bowl game also. So that's going to be a great camp battle. I think Johnson's just a sophomore this year, so that's going to be really good at the right guard position. Another position to actually look at is the center position. Jake Majors is going to be that guy at the center position. He should have played all, pretty much all last year. We had a guy playing center last year who should have probably been our right tackle, and that's Derek Kerstetter. He ended up breaking his ankle last year, but he's back this year too. So we got a lot of holes up front, but hopefully if we can just keep those guys healthy, we can have a decent line this year, and just have just a really good season this year.
Nick, if I'm reading between the lines, it sounds like Tom Herman was favoring tenure, was favoring the upperclassmen, where with Steve Sarkisian, he comes in, says, hey, sure, I can look at the tape from last year, but everybody's job's open. I know who can play to a certain extent, but man, the jobs are open, and it may foster some youth movement here, and just allowing players to compete for the jobs, and the best man wins. Healthy competition.
So that is exactly it. I hope Sark does pick the right folks here, which I think he is. This is his offense. He's going to want this offense to flourish. And if he's going to want this to actually work right, he's going to pick those actual right fits for this offense.
Check out Nino's Corner here on YouTube for Texas football coverage. It's an impressive display of, again, coverage of the personnel breakdowns, the scouting reports on the recruits coming in, the whole deal from Nick Battle right there at Nino's Corner. All right, let's look at the defense. And anytime you're going to turn on Texas football over the last couple of years and check out the defense, it's going to start with Joseph Asai. He basically single-handedly won the Oklahoma State game.
He's gone.
He's a monster.
He's gone.
He's a monster. So
he is gone.
He moves on. So what else you got up front?
All right. So our new defense, so Coach K, has a brand new defense for us. It's a 2-4-5 defense, so it's 2-4-5 just in name, but it's really multiple actually. So, on the defensive side of the ball, we're going to have 2 defensive tackles. So Coburn is going to man one of those positions. He's a monster. You got a guy like Collins also, and then you got Sweat. You got a bunch of guys up there who can man those 2 spots. Coach K uses, 2 defensive ends that are, like basically hybrid guys that are about the 250 range. One's like a heavier guy that's on the actual weak side. And so that person, we got a bunch of folks to actually fill that position. I think, let me see, we got Gorham Welch, we got Ojimo also, so both those guys are some pretty big guys around like the 280 mark. On the strong side, though, that was Joseph Asai's position. We got one guy that was on campus last year who could possibly get that job, and that was Prince Dorba. I think that Sark thinks that position is a little bit weak, so he went out and got 3 grad transfers, so he got Ben Davis from Bama, so he just came over this past week. We got Ray Thornton, so he just came over from, I think that was LSU. And we got Ovi Agofo. He just came in, actually from Notre Dame. So he beefed up that, like that side of the ball, because I think he thinks that is probably like one of the weakest spots on this defense. So that's going to be a huge camp battle just to see who is going to win that. The other 2 linebackers, we got, just a man amongst boys, and that is Overshawn, all Big 12 guys, sideline to sideline guy. He is a beast. And then, just at the safeties, we got BJ Johnson. BJ Foster. BJ Johnson was a wide receiver, for Texas back in, like 2000. But we got Foster and we got Jaron Thompson. So those 2 are probably man those 2 spots in the back. But the true battle Mark, is going to be at the cornerback position. I think we got about 4 or 5 guys who can definitely compete for that job. We got Jamison, who is the Shark, who actually started at the outside corner. I think this year, his best spot would probably be at the nickelback. He's a dog, man. He is very versatile, very fluid. He's a kickoff guy. He's a punt guy too. I mean, he is a very fast guy and fluid. And so I think his best spot here on this defense will be at the nickel. And then those other 2 positions, man, we got Darian Dunn. He's a transfer. I think he's from McNeese State, actually. And then we got Anthony Cook. We got Josh Thompson. So those 3 will be guys who are going to battle out for those other 2 spots.
When I hear the name BJ Foster, it goes back 3 or 4 years when he was recruited and signed. Caden Stearns around the same time when the Texas recruiting, especially in the secondary, was insane for a couple of classes there. Yeah. Have those guys really met expectations?
Yeah, you can say so. So Caden Stearns has, so he's left this year. He had a monster, freshman year. And then, his play kind of topped off a little bit, but he was injured a lot, but he's going to the combine this year. He should get drafted. BJ Foster, I think this is going to be his year. He's a hard hitter. He also came through with a bunch of injuries over the past years, but Overshawn has definitely been the guy who I think has been that safety that is bumped down to the front 7. And he has been our best linebacker on this team by far, sideline to sideline guy, very rangy, fast guy. So, if I'm saying if these guys have panned out for their 5-star status, maybe not to the level that we would want them to, but all of that has to do, I think, with coaching from the previous staff. I think once we get some better coaching in here, some guys who can put them in the right place, these guys are definitely going to flourish.
The Ben Davis edition is one to watch, former 5-star at Alabama, and maybe the change of scenery, and just never really saw the field a whole lot there and achieved what was expected of him. But still, the talent is obvious there. And a couple editions, as you mentioned, from LSU and Notre Dame. So obviously those guys have 4- and 5-star talent abilities coming into the program as well. Got Nick Battle on the line from Nino's Corner. So right here on YouTube, you just type it into the search bar. You can check out his work covering Texas football. Recruiting's not been the issue. No. Whether that be under Charlie Strong or under Tom Herman, you typically see Texas in the top 5 to 10 in the nation. It's been development. It's been other things, maybe finding the right fit recruit for the system. And again, not an issue with Steve Sarkisian. No. You would think he's starting to haul him in as well. So recently, who are some of the headliners?
Oh, man, we got a bunch of good guys, especially on the offensive side of the ball. I guess once these kids saw Sark's offense in that national championship game, every kid wants to come play, right? Just for him. So especially at the wide receiver position, we got Evan Stewart, top 5 wideout in the country. Kid's a burner too on the field, man. He, I think he ran a 10.67, last year in the 100-meter dash. So that, actually equates to a no-kidding 4.4. So, it's like that's a verified time for him. We got Winfield. This kid, I think, is going to be a sleeper. He's like the number 6 guy in the country when it comes to wideouts, but he's getting kind of like left out here, right? Because we got Evan Stewart. But this kid, Winfield, is a monster when it comes on that field. He runs some of the most seamless routes. It's just easy for him. It's just so natural for him. So he is a very good wideout too. Those two are the kind of guys that Sark wants in his team is speed. He wants speed, and more speed, especially at that wideout position. So we got that. We got the quarterback Murphy, from California, 5-star talent. He's really good too. And he's also a very good person that all the kids want to come play with him. He has that infectious attitude, so he's been bringing in a bunch of guys also. Then we got Jaden Blue. He's the top back in the country, so he's coming here to Texas too. So Sark's on the roll when it comes to the, just to the offensive side of the ball. He also got a couple guys just on defense also. And I think we got BJ Allen, so he's a hell of a safety also. Very rangy safety, likes to hit too. He's a really good player. And then from the previous staff, we got what's the kid's name? Jaden Gilbo. And he's a really good cornerback also. I think a top 100, 150 player, just in the country. So, we got some talent here. My favorite player, though, that he has gotten here on defense is Travell Johnson. He's a linebacker. He's only around 200 pounds right now, but once he gets into a real system here, like in college, and beefs up to about 225, he's your perfect linebacker for the Big 12. Rangy, fast, can go sideline to sideline. He's just very explosive also. So Sark is getting the talent. He is definitely getting the talent, especially at the skill positions on offense. What we got to hone in now is on those big uglies in the trenches. We need some offensive linemen in the worst way. And so hopefully we can pull some of these guys in, where there's a Cam Dewberry, a Campbell, or a Robertson, or a actual Kelvin Banks, Jr.
So you dropped some names there at the end of your statement. As you survey the situation and keep up as much as possible, what are the names that are being thrown out as targets that we may hear about a commitment anytime in the next few weeks or months?
I am hoping Devon Campbell, the offensive lineman oh my God, that kid is probably the number one guard here in the country, 5-star talent. He is a fast kid to be that big. I think he's 6'4", 322 pounds. Just go to my page on Twitter. You'll see this play that I put up with him. He pulls around from the right side, hits the hole on the left side, knocks a linebacker down, right? Opens up the hole for his back to run, goes back down the field, hits a safety, knocks him on the butt. His back runs up the sideline, and this kid at 320 pounds runs stride for stride with his back to go to the end zone for a touchdown. That is the kind of athlete that we need here on the offensive line. Some big uglies that are no kidding fast and big. That's two things you can't teach, right, Mark? You can't teach size and you can't teach speed, right?
That's a crazy combination. I say it all the time when people call me here and they're like, did you check out this kid? Did you check out that kid in high school? And I'm like, you know what? I'm just trying to cover college football. I don't have time to watch these kids in high school. Once they get signed, I'll watch the spring game. I'll get locked in. But that play may pull me over to your channel to check that play out. I might do that.
Out, man. That kid is he's a beast, man. I think he's probably, if I were, had a board, he would be my top player on the board, bar none.
Because I'm a big fan of the offensive line play. They don't get enough pub. So anytime I can talk up the offensive lineman, I will do that every time, no doubt. Nick Battle does a tremendous job on his YouTube channel there, Nino's Corner, covering Texas football. And it's a whole new deal there with Steve Sarkisian in town, whole new coaching staff, a lot of additions there on both sides of the ball. What's your assessment of the coaching staff he's assembled thus far?
All-star staff. And so, this is what I love about hiring, Sark here, is that the two previous coaches, they were head coaches, right? So they came from, just previous schools, and they brought along the guys who helped them get to their job now. And I'm not saying that's the wrong thing to do or the right thing to do, but when you're at a school like Texas, which is a blue blood program, you got to go get the best, right? And so, some of those difficult conversations have to happen to where, you can say, hey, we coached at Houston together, or we coached at Louisville together, but this is Texas and I need to go get the best. I have an open checkbook, and I should go get the best coordinators possible. And that's what Steve Sark has done here. He's, of course, he is the offensive mind, the offensive guru, but he's brought, Cal Flood here. Cal Flood, just the two best offensive lines the last 2 years in college football at Bama. And then prior to that, he was with the Falcons with him. And the Falcons, the first year he was there, the number 2 offensive line in the league. He had injuries in that second year, but the line was still like the number 12, line in the whole league also. And they had 2 guys that were injured on that line that year. So, he's brought in the guys who can coach, brought in the guys who can get the guys to come here and actually play at Texas. He's got Jeff Banks, who I actually love. He's a special teams coordinator, tight end coach, but he's a recruiting rainmaker. He gets the kids to come here. We got Terry Joseph, Blake Gideon. Both of those guys are, actually coaching in the secondary. We got Coach K. We got the best defensive, coordinator from the Pac-12 who has defended the spread pretty much his whole career. And he is really good, just a no-nonsense kind of guy, but he has a hell of a scheme, has put a bunch of folks in the league. So, yeah, Coach Sark brought in I'm talking about a great team here. And he also kept two guys, too. Stan Drayton, who I think is one of the best running back coaches in the country. So Stan Drayton, so he's here. And also Andre Coleman, who has basically proved to everybody that he is worth his weight in gold now with getting these wideouts to actually come here to Texas for this cycle here in 2022.
College Football Nation's waiting on you, Nick, waiting on Texas to get its rightful place back.
Yeah. We got to get it, man. We got to get it. I think this is going to be a really good hire for Texas. I think that Sark is the guy who can bring this back. Just in the past two, hires, since Mac Brown has left, we've kind of been in a lull here for the last 10 years. And it's been very depressing as a Texas grad and a Texas fan. I'm used to Texas being Texas and being very competitive and winning Big 12 titles and winning national championships. That's the Texas that we want to see, right? And when Texas is good, college football is good also. It just makes college football better when your brand names are good football. But I think Steve Sarkisian is definitely going to do what is needed here at Texas. Get the right folks here at Texas as far as players. He's already brought in some of the best coaches here at Texas. And I just got a really good feeling that we're going to do some very good things. We were just 3 or 4 plays away last year, just from being possibly, just a one-loss team, but also on the flip side, we were a couple plays away from being a 5-5 team. So it's just a matter of how you want to look at that, right? But Texas has had, I think, 27 or 28 games that were decided within one score over Tom Herman's tenure here, in which a team like that with that much talent at Texas, that should never happen. And so I thought sometimes in the previous years when Texas would get a lead, we would kind of ease up off the gas, right? I don't think that's going to happen with Steve Sarkisian. His motto is all gas, no brakes. And he wants to put the foot on the throat when he is playing against you until you quit and tap out. And I think that's the mentality that's going to be brought here at Texas, and I can't wait to see it.
Absolutely. If you're Texas and you're where you're supposed to be over the course of a 12-game season, you're going to have about 3 games that should be seriously competitive. And then you should have about 7 games that you're just
blowing people,
just blowing people out by 5 touchdowns. And then you're going to have a couple games that you win by 2 or touchdowns, 17 points, something like that, the TCUs of the world. And that's what it should be. Yeah, it's a tremendous and interesting deal there, because Iowa State fans aren't going to be real happy with me by saying this, because they're doing a great job and Matt Campbell's phenomenal. But we saw it with TCU. We saw it with Baylor. Yeah, they can step up for a couple of years and challenge Oklahoma, but there's really only one school in that conference that has the resources and the ability to do it long term. Mm-hmm. And you got the color on right now.
It's Texas.
Yeah.
Yep, it's Texas.
All right. Nick Battle, Nino's Corner. I encourage everybody to head on over there. I was impressed. Great stuff covering Texas football. So lock it in over there. And Nick, you're welcome here anytime. So appreciate you stopping by.
All right. Thanks, Mark, man. I appreciate it.